Hello, everyone. This is Leo Khoury from Spartan FC, Leaders Talk, and GMK. So, today I really wanted to talk about something that is near and dear to me, which is in the realm of social psychology and how that integrates with human resources, hiring practices, but more so on a larger scale, I would say, in terms of offshoring and picking the right country that matches your values. Now, for many people that don't know, I did study briefly social psychology and behavioral psychology in addition to human resources. And I worked in business development among some financial analysis, consumer analysis, and stuff like that. Anyways, my background is, I'm only telling you my background because I think it's relevant to this conversation, okay, for the sake of credibility purposes. Now, when we talk about culture in an organization, many people have no idea what they're talking about, all right? Many people just use the phrase like it's just something that they're supposed to say, like when startups pitch to venture capital firms that everything is integrated with artificial intelligence, even though a lot of the times, especially these startups that did not go through a proper seed funding, they tend to confuse artificial intelligence with automation. Now, automation is very important, and for every organization, not just specific companies. But when you talk about automation versus artificial intelligence, you're talking about machine learning. You're talking about a whole different realm of reality in terms of what product you're offering to the market. Now, when I'm hiring someone and I say I want to hire a culture fit, first of all, is your culture, your organizational culture, positioned in the right way for the maximum return on investment in your specific market? Because if there's a disalignment, whether you have a local office in a foreign country or you're in your own country, and there's a disalignment between your values, your cultural values as an organization, and the cultural values of the market that you're trying to services to, then you're not going to get very far. Plain and simple. So, in that regard, I'd like to show you what there was a social psychology professor, researcher that invented something called the cultural dimensions. His name was Gert Hofstede. He was a Dutch social psychologist. So we'll get to that in just a second. Hello, everyone. We are back for the details of the cultural dimensions. Now, this is important because understanding, like I said, many people don't understand what when they say culture fit, or let's hire a culture fit, or let's say someone's not a culture fit for upper management, so they don't get the promotion. First of all, let's define what culture is. So, and I mentioned this. Gert Hofstede, the renowned social psychologist who invented these cultures, was on point in regard to this. He needed criteria to understand what is culture fit, like many people tend to think that it's just some sort of it doesn't feel right. It's not about your feeling. There is a science behind it, and if you understand the science behind it, you can make a lot better educated hiring decisions. So when you're recruiting or hiring for a specific role, you got to test their relevant skill competency. You got to test their behavior and their personality. And then what's really more important is the cultural dimensions. Is this person going to be a value added in terms of how their upbringing was, their social influence of the region or country or neighborhood that they grew up in? All of these have different factors on the development of culture. So let's discuss the dimensions. So the first dimension is power distance. And I'm going to keep scrolling back up and down. I hope you don't mind. So here we talk about the power distance, and it describes the extent to which the less powerful members of the organization or institution, such as a family, accept and expect the power is distributed unequally. Okay? So when we talk about that there's individuals that hold a significant amount of power, That would be more of a authoritarian or an aristocratic kind of power dynamic. When we talk about a democracy, that would be a little bit different, and so on and so forth. The next thing we're going to talk about is individualism versus collectivism. But before we go forward, it's really important to understand, what does social psychology cover? And it covers, from a global social psychology, how we are influenced globally. It covers as small as a family unit. Okay? Now let's take it from family unit, and it can go up to a neighborhood, it can go up to a city, it can go up to a country, it can go up to a region. And yes, there are regional cultural nuances that need to be acknowledged and appreciated. And when people say that you're uncultured, it means that you're unfamiliar with foreign cultures. And by foreign, I don't necessarily mean across borders or across continents. Just the fact that between Texas and New York, or Texas and California, there are major differences in cultural nuances and where they fall on these power dynamics and the cultural dimensions. So let's go down to individualism versus collectivism. Okay, so for example, an individualistic society would be the U.S. And nothing wrong with this, by the way. I'm not. There is no judgment in these criteria. But in the U.S., a lot of people, when they turn 18, they're out of the house and they got to make do for themselves. Okay, that's a clear sign of individualistic society and culture. Then you have collectivism. So in the Middle East, it's normal for people to spend their life in their parents' home until they get married. Even during the time of college, and that's very true among our culture in the Middle East. See, now I might know what you're thinking, and I'm just assuming here, but I am actually biracial, and I'm American, Texan, and I'm also Jordanian Arab. So I have been exposed to both lifestyles, and a very strange combination of those, regardless of where I've been living. And a very so Jordan is actually a very collectivistic culture, which has a lot to appreciate. It means that you have a little bit less independence from your family units, but you do have the support that you normally wouldn't find in the U.S. Even friends in the Arab countries they stand together, they support each other a lot more than the U.S. would. And the U.S. is very quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I scratch yours, and for me, I prefer that in terms of business because it's a lot more clear cut and straightforward. But at the same time, to each his own, and that's it, I guess, so far. Then the next thing is we have uncertainty avoidance, which is quite significant because when you talk about uncertainty avoidance, you're talking about lower level employees that tend to avoid making decisions. Okay, and I'm talking about decisions within what they should be making decisions about. Okay, now in the U.S., there's a large level of uncertainty avoidance. They have to get confirmation from their boss. There is a hierarchy in terms of decision making that is as holy as the Bible itself. So you gotta be patient when they say we're going to take a couple of weeks to get back to you. In Jordan, there's a high uncertainty avoidance. Nobody wants the responsibility of making the wrong decision. Now, one of the things that affect high uncertainty avoidance is when the ownership or the management is hiding a lot of information, which leaves the more junior management or junior staff with not enough information to make educated decisions. There's reasons, cultural reasons, to not share a lot of information, and then there's cultural reasons to share a lot of information. But it depends on which kind of cultural dynamic you're in. Okay? So the next thing that we're going to talk about is femininity and masculinity. Now, the U.S. has recently become a very feministic society. Canada is actually even more so feministic, where they value things about caring and fostering, and they care about providing a high quality of life for everyone. Feministic cultures tend to use that is more like nurture, right? Whereas men would say, I have to, take care of, I have to deliver, you know. So those are some nuances that you could pay attention on. Now, I have seen, and I'm not sure if I can find it. If I can, I'll put it in the YouTube link. But what I have seen in my time, there was a website that had the cultural evaluations based on Hofstede's Cultural Dimensions per each and every single country. So this is a great resource, and I think I actually have a link to this in my masterclass on globalization at the spartansc.co website. Check it out. Check it out. You can look it up on Google, or you can take my course. It doesn't really matter to me. Now, of course, I prefer if you take my course, we can get to know each other a little bit better. Now, short-term versus long-term orientation. This is a very important thing to note. Short-term rewards is kind of self-explanatory. Short-term means I'm going to get rewarded faster. Long-term, I'm going to suffer now to get a bigger reward in the future, right? Now, the thing is, a lot of people tend to go with the cultural norm, right? And they don't think beyond it, which is fine. It's fine. It works for them, and that's what they do, okay? Now, for me, I'm lucky that I had good mentors and good people to make me think in a more independent way about what's best for me, right? So I'm not necessarily after the big giant reward. After sitting with a really good mentor, they kind of enlightened me on, for me, it's better to have predictable rewards that I can build and budget my life on. It makes me more comfortable, puts me more at ease. I have less cholesterol, more time, and yeah, that's about it for me. Restraint versus indulgence. So we're talking about the difference between a entrepreneurial mindset and a consumerism mindset. So if you are an entrepreneur and you're living in something that is on the indulgence spectrum here, then you're going to succeed pretty quick. Yeah, you're going to just be able to sell anything that you want, anytime, and it makes things pretty easy. Thereon, I think that covers some of them. This is not the most accurate portrayal of Hofstede's Cultural Dimensions that I've seen. Some of the things I feel might be missing here, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's on the simplypsychology.org. I'm not paid by them to, show their website. I actually thought that they have a really great blog and very useful, and they seem to know what they're talking about. And yeah. Now, to the main point, if you're considering offshoring to another country or so on, it's important that you map out where your organization falls on the cultural dimensions. First of all, assess if your current business is matching your local cultural dynamics. Okay? If it is, then you need to find an offshoring market. That might be Jordan, it might be something else where you're saving money on wage expenses, or simply, building a call center, whatever it might be. You need to find a country that is as close as possible to your cultural dimensions of your organization and your relevant market that you're selling to. Okay? Now, on the other spectrum, if your organization is not currently doing well with the local market dimensions in terms of culture, then you might want to consider having where you are be the operations and outsource sales, offshore sales to a market that is more aligned to your cultural dynamics. And I think that this is often very overlooked. One other thing, just a extra tip here. When you do find one of those countries that really align with your cultural dynamics, or whatever you need in terms of cultural dynamics, it might not be a direct alignment. Um, it might be an intentional misalignment to appeal to your consumer market, not your operation market. That's a big difference. Keep that in mind. So, before offshoring, even if you found the right culture fit, you need to also have your recruiter try to see how many people of relevant skills that you are going to need to hire in the offshoring market. Okay, if there is a low supply of a specific skill set, then you might want to reconsider that market. Because again, if you're offshoring to save money, you're probably also offshoring to hire a mass volume of people and build a giant operation to serve your customers, yourself, and your stakeholders 24/7 a day, right? So you're going to need a large relevant skill pool to pick from. And if it's a market that doesn't have a large skill pool available or talent pool available of relevance, then you might want to reconsider which market to offshore to. And that is, I think, one of the most overlooked things. I've seen even multinationals make this mistake quite often. You can see that with some of the current, the Forbes 500 have made some of those mistakes recently, and they've been on the news for it. They didn't mention it directly, but that's the mistake they made. Yeah. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on leokhoury.me, which is LEOKHOURY.me, or you can reach out to us on the Leaders Talk website, which is leaders-talk.com. And of course, if you're looking for the services to offshore to Jordan or to the US, then it would be spartansc.co. In all cases, I'm around, happy to chat. You can find me on LinkedIn. And that's it. Yeah. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the video. I am personally a major fan of Hofstede's Cultural Dimensions, social psychology, behavioral psychology, all the above. So if you just want to talk about psychology, I can go at it all day. So yeah, that's it. Have a great one.